Hello guys, once again welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about Ghana. Ghana has gone to the IMF for the 17th time, and today the implication of the IMF conditions are showing glaringly on the Ghanaian. Today electricity prices have been increased, water prices have been increased, taxes on businesses have been increased, and this is killing businesses. Guys, I've been telling you this for a very long time that look, the way we are running the country, we will soon run into a ditch. We emphasize on creating job opportunities for people abroad, for people elsewhere, whilst we sit and hope that our fortunes will change one day. One day it go better. It does not work this way because training or transforming a country requires you to implement some intentional policies. Okay, I don't want to talk much. I have Bernard Avle, who is a seasoned journalist who hosts the Citi CBS news. Okay, so he is going to explain to you how some of these things do happen and why it's affecting Ghana. He shared this on his show Citi CBS, and I just took a snippet shot of a bit of a portion for us to look at his analysis and see whether we agree with him or not. Okay, so let's watch.
You do back to the village food bazaar. Everybody wants paparansa, everybody wants kelewele. Because on a regular day, they won't get. When they drive around town, KFC, Pizza Hut, this and that, this and that, this and that. So they realize that, oh, the only place I can actually eat, so it's almost like our own food is ceremonial. But normal food there, it has to be chicken. Now, once they frame your taste that way for the next 30 years, you guarantee them an income.
Yep.
This is how we should think about the economy. So economics is not just numbers. That's the thing. This is our point. We make it look like only those who can calculate. Economics is not about numbers. So it's about solving human problems, understanding scarcity, and resource deployment. Okay. So this frame, this jacket that the IMF has put us in, that we have sent ourselves into for 17 cycles. PURC will raise tariffs. They will change the BOG's law. They will bring somebody to come and police out the BOG. And it's so condescending. So we are going to help Ghana to maintain fiscal discipline, for God's sake. And what happens is that our politics plays into it because the opposition wants to win elections. So they will also fire. Hey, the governor, why is he doing this? And I'm not endorsing recklessness. But even in opposing, you have to be wise and say, Charlie, look, this thing, it's true that the MPP people mismanage the team, but they have deeper issues. But to just play to the gallery, fiscal recklessness, the government, you come. And you can't do the same thing because you are in the same way with the guy.
Yeah, the problem here is that it's not because the oppositions do not have sense or they don't understand the governance framework. It's because the reason for coming to power has nothing to do with developing the people. I've always been saying this, that the reason for a lot of politicians coming into power has absolutely nothing. A lot of people, if you really go down to the grassroots, some people even had their motto as Ubia Bedidi Peche, Ubia Bedidi. Ubia Bedidi saying. So it's all about indidi, we are fighting. It's about we are struggling, we are fighting to get power so that we will chop. It's not so that we'll develop the woman who sold his clothes and property to put the son into university, so that when he comes out, he'll be able to get a job and to be able to take care of him. It has nothing to do with that at all. So Bernard, it has nothing, absolutely nothing. The correlation you're making here, you're making a common sense argument. But to the politician, it's not about that. It's about winning power, amassing wealth for themselves, and then I'm creating wealth for their financiers. So that's why all these people, they know, they understand these things. Problem is, they won't do what is supposed to be done. That's the problem.
So you are not coming with any debating idea. Oh. You are just passing because you know that Charlie, it do your CSU. You see, but that's why you go 17 times. So there should be a real alternative. So the real alternative is not just the opposition saying that, yes, we need a fiscal rule. We are talking about, and I mentioned this before, what you actually need is to say, over the next 10 years, you are going to be food sovereign. Why should you spend over $300 million every year importing rice when you have the Volta region, when you have the Western region, when you have Upper East region, when you have the Northern region? Why? This should be. So the Minister for Agri should say, how on earth do we spend? And that $10 million is, you are sending it out of the country to employ a Vietnamese farmer, and then your currency starts falling, and then the dollar that you need to buy a Toyota engine part, you won't get it because you are using it to buy rice. Do you get it? So this one should not even be. You don't even need to go to school to know this.
This is exactly, this is exactly the problem with Africans and most African leaders. It's exactly the same thing. I've always been saying that importation of things means creating jobs for people in another country. Those people in Europe, America, and Asia, they see Africa as a market. They don't see you whenever they come in for bilateral, international bilateral agreement, multilateral agreement, free trade, blah, blah, blah. It's not about because they will take something valuable from Africa. It's because they want to create markets. Like Bernard is arguing now that 300 million a year for importing just rice. You've made people, a lot of farmers, commercial farmers in Vietnam and Thailand and all those Asian countries, you made them multi-millionaires just from Ghana. Now imagine Nigeria joining, Kenya joining, South Africa joining, and all these people joining together. You are creating multi-billionaires in another country, whilst at the same time, your people, your farmers are struggling. At the same time, you are scrambling to look for dollars, just so that you can import. I mean, what is wrong with us? I still don't get our sort of economics, Anyway, let's continue to listen to Bernard.
That you need to be food sovereign, right? But what do we say? Oh, Ghana rice is not nice. The Ghana rice farmers cannot produce enough. They can't produce enough for what? Help them to produce. Why should you say they can't? It's almost like, we are some neutral people, the government. So people who import rice, people who plant rice, whichever one works, will do it. That's wickedness. It means you don't even love your citizens. Exactly. Now you sit down and say, do you think the Americans, their rice industry is a free market? That anybody can bring anything? Then you there, let the importers bring, let the rice growers grow. Whichever wins will win. We will just take our tax revenue. No, you have to say no. We will feed ourselves. We will not spend more than $50 million importing rice.
That's right.
We will not spend this amount of money importing maize. When it comes to food we eat, because if you are not food sovereign in a crisis, Vietnam will not give you rice. You'll be hungry. Like Joseph in the Bible, you come and be a slave. So if you come, so it must not even be discussed.
And I was thinking Corona taught us this lesson because during the COVID time, a lot of countries shut their doors. India stopped exporting drugs. Most of our drugs that we use in Ghana are manufactured in India. They shut their doors. China closed factories and shut their door. Banned importation. A lot of countries banned exportation of their goods and services. Why? Because at that critical time, they needed it in their country. So there's no way they are going to send their food or their drugs to you to survive. And that should have sounded, a wake-up call or some wake-up bells in our mind. That look, what we have been doing for several years, it's not working. It's not how we should be doing things. We should sit down, analyze things, and get things done. And because this is a crisis, a national security issue. That if the survival of our economy is solely dependent on other economies surviving, can you imagine? Anyway, let's continue.
cars on radio. This is not something you must even talk about. It's too basic that you have to even go and say, we'll do Operation Feed Yourself again. This is common sense. Every sensible country feeds itself. That's right. So it shouldn't even be something that should give you a vote. Yeah. It should be like an agreed principle that because we are wise and we are Ghanaians, we'll make sure that the basic staples we eat, we produce all here. Don't come and tell me that, oh, we don't have competitive advantage, economic community. You can use economics to do anything. If you want to do it, you will do it. So don't come and tell me, why didn't the Chinese know that there's competitive advantage and comparative advantage and all those things? We just do book long things. We don't know what we need. So that's rice, right? Maize, yam, cassava, cocoyam, plantain, the staples, tomatoes. Make sure you can, and you have storage for the next 10 years. That's all you need to do. That you don't need go to World Bank, IMF, go to this person, come and tell you they go to have a meeting here. They bring all kinds of ideas, advices. Go to ministries. People will write their own speeches. Some advisors writing. It's like, what's your problem? So deal with the food matter. Reduce that 1 billion on food imports and pack it. Now, as I said, you cannot be monetarily sovereign if you are not food sovereign. So this lack of monetary sovereignty that we are seeing in changing BOG law is trace to what I'm saying. So why? Because every March your cedi will fall. Why will your cedi fall? You are importing food. Number 2, power. All the fuels. This is even funny. You say you are producing oil. You extract the oil and then you export it raw. And then you use hard currency to buy finished product that a BDC will sell to you to drive your own car. So you don't have a refinery. Then the power that you even need to produce electricity, no? You go and buy the gas from abroad, and then the gas that you produce, you flare it. The gas that you have in the Western Enclave, you burn it. Yes. And then you go and use dollars to pay Nigeria to give you gas through a pipeline that has low pressure. Okay, so that's the second problem with you. So you are spending the little dollars you have to buy food, and then you're to buy fuel to power your power generators and to drive your cars. So ESLA, look at all the taxes we pay. They are all energy related. ESLA bond, ESLA this, ESLA that, energy sector debt. Look at all. So you see that when you think about the whole thing, your lack of energy sovereignty is keeping you poor.
Okay, so this is enough from Bernard Avle here. He has said so many things, and I want to unpack them for you. Fundamentally, he's talking about 3 things: Ghana being food sovereign. Secondly, Ghana being energy sovereign. Okay, look, this whole thing is not a rocket science, and we've been talking about it for years, and nobody seems to listen. First of all, grow what you eat what you grow. It is not rocket science. We have arable land of over 2.5 million hectares in Ghana. Now, you compare that to Israel. Israel has an arable land of over 185,000 hectares. 185,000 hectares. They produce over 95% of what they eat. 95% of the food Israel eats, they produce it in their country, a desert country like this. Meanwhile, in Ghana, we produce how much? We export over 80% of the things we eat. Just walk to your neighborhood shop or your supermarket or your usual mall, Accra Mall, West Hills Mall, wherever. Go to the use almost most of the goods are imported. Why? So what happens is that if something terrible happens in those countries and they are not in a position to export things to Ghana, you are in trouble. You are in big trouble. And for those of you who have developed tastes for foreign goods and who even boast in it bogs my mind that a Ghanaian will go and buy a shoe from Italy and be bragging about it. I mean, I wear an Italian shoe, I wear Gucci, what? You are killing yourself. What you are doing is that you are creating employment in another country. That's depriving your very people who could have done a good job, in your country, even if it is bad. And I don't understand why they always go back to quality, because quality is a process. If you don't buy and give them a feedback for them to understand that, okay, this is what we should improve, this is what we should improve, you will not grow the economy. Okay, so this is point number one. The second one, he's talking about energy sovereignty. Now, look, this is one of the saddest things that has ever happened to this economy. The saddest thing. And leadership, starting from President Kufuor to Arthur Mills to John Mahama to Akufo-Addo, all of them have failed to do one fundamental thing. At the end of every year, we carry $1 billion to the international markets to buy oil and gas, to fuel our cars, to power our plants for electricity and all that. At the end of the year, now we have a company called Tema Oil Refinery, TOR. That Tema Oil Refinery thing can eventually, refine oil, and I hear that they can refine over 25% of the total oil need in Ghana. Assuming we had a visionary leader who can say that, look, I'm investing in TOR, I'm revamping TOR, I'm expanding it to produce 50% of our oil revenue, oil need, or of our fuel need in Ghana. That visionary leader, what you have done, the moment you get TOR running, what you have done is that you're going to save the nation on $500 million of importation. $500 million. Now, what you have also done is not because TOR has expanded. What you will do is that you will need more hands to work. So we've created more jobs. Now you've created $500 million less pressure on the city, which will cause your city to stabilize, which will also create more employment. Now, the big question is that we could have replicated this thing for the food industry. Now, a total last year alone, according to BOG website, Ghana imported over 2 billion worth of food. Chiefly among them were rice, poultry, sugar, and tomatoes. Can you believe there's 2 billion for food? Now, we imported 2 billion worth of food together with 1 billion worth of petroleum products into the country. The two together, food and petroleum alone, amount to $3 billion. This is the same amount of money the IMF is giving us. We carried that money and went to give it to the white people, the white man. And then some years later, we go back and say, please give it to us back as loan. Doesn't make sense. The government of Ghana and Akufo-Addo had a very good plan for planting for food and jobs. And we all thought that this was going to be, the savior for our food insecurity, for our food issues, because Ghanaian women don't have to travel to Burkina Faso amidst all the terrorist attack and all those things to go and buy food or to go and buy tomatoes and bring to Ghana. We have arable lands that can support tomato growth. Akufo-Addo brought planting for food and jobs. Problem is the implementation of the policy. Now, the policy in itself was good policy, but implementing the policy, instead of giving it to competent technocrats to implement the policy to ensure its successes, these policies were championed by party faithfuls. Whether they qualified, whether they had a bagger, it does not matter. It's the same thing they are doing to VSHS right now. But anyway, it's a topic for another discussion. They give the policy, this distribution of fertilizers and everything are given to party chairmen and party communicators or whatever to distribute, only for these people to start messing it up. Instead of the farmers getting subsidized fertilizers to grow their crops and all that, the fertilizers found themselves in Cote d'Ivoire. Apparently, because the government has subsidized, it was cheaper. So the party people who were given the mandate now have to smuggle the whole thing. They send to Cote d'Ivoire and send it so that it gets inside somebody's pocket. That's how good policies fail countries. That is how come we are still importing 2 billion worth of food, even after we have implemented PFJ, planting for food and jobs. Why are the rice farming in Ghana? Why are they? Why are we not producing enough? Why is it that the rice produced in Ghana are more expensive than the one we import? What's the government policy on making sure that our rice producers get access to loans, get access to fertilizers, get access to land to be able to farm so that they can feed the 30 million people in Ghana? Secondly, the poultry farm. The poultry industry in Ghana is completely dead. Corona even worsened it. And now today, almost everywhere you go in Ghana, we are eating frozen chicken. Chicken that have been frozen for years. And that's what we are eating. Have you even considered the health implications in the long run on the entire population? Oh my goodness. Sugar. Commander Sugar Factory is practically useless now. And yet we import sugar. Hey, what is wrong with us? By now we should be having not only Commander Sugar Factory, we should be having about 5 sugar factories. If this is what we will need, what stops us from having 5 sugar factories in Ghana to produce sugar to support the populace? Tomatoes. You see our mothers, the market women, take all the risks amidst the terrorist, threat in Burkina Faso. They go there to buy tomatoes because we don't have some in Ghana. We don't have enough. We don't produce enough. What's the government's plan? We can talk more and more, but at the end of the day, the whole responsibility rests on the shoulders of the people on the government whom we have elected. Now, at the end of the day, you also have to have your voice said. Share your voice. Open up yourself. Talk to your MPs. Forget about collecting money from them. And let's make Ghana great. This is my rant. And this is Daily Rant Ghana. My name is Emmanuel. Please do well to subscribe. Let me know what you think about this video. We'll see you next time. Until then, ciao.